Good evening once again, and welcome to our Doctor and Call program for this evening. It is the 7th of May 2024. It's a pleasure to be here as always, and of course Doc is with me as always. And this evening, folks, we continue our conversation. Of course, we've been talking about the social determinants of health, very important. Today also is World Asthma Day, and so we will spend a considerable amount of time on that. Of course, we're in the time of climate change, and we know what can happen. Lots of Sahara dust in the atmosphere. A lot is happening. A lot of dry grass, particulate matter. A lot of things are happening, and the fact that it's World Asthma Day, it's very instructive that we have that conversation this evening. So we thank you for joining us, our viewers on GBN Television 711, our listeners on K105 FM, and of course our friends on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us. Doc, good evening and welcome again. It's such a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. Good evening, Grenada. Hot Grenada.
Yes.
I hope people are taking measures to keep the temperature down. No. I just want to talk about our two more vulnerable, more likely to be affected groups of people, often because they can't communicate well, and that's our children and our elderly. They're unable to say how they feel. Remember that most elderly people in general don't really consume a lot of fluids, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to ensure that the caregivers make sure that they get enough fluids, because the whole sense of thirst is kind of gone. But you have to ensure that they're consuming fluids. You still live in the tropics and coconut water is available, very important. Remember that the fluid you lose through your skin is because your body is engineered to cool itself down when the temperature gets high. And so we sweat a lot, and sweating is because your body needs to cool itself down, right?
Yes, indeed.
But sweat is not just water. Whereas water has its place for volume and stuff, you're going to need to have some electrolytes. Those little salts that keep your muscles, working well, your heart muscle, your muscles in your limbs and stuff working well. Sodium and potassium in particular. We have to really make sure that we take in some of that, or we ensure our kids have that. Please avoid those sugar-sweetened beverages, which is bad for kids. We don't want our children to be hydrated and put on weight and get empty calories as a result of, because it's hot. Like I said, we have coconut water. If your child should have other problems, which I've seen in this dry season, this really strange dry season, there's been a fair amount of gastro, again, because of the quality of water and because it's kind of season change and viruses go crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And because we have little water and we probably don't do our hand washing hygiene as is necessary. So that's one of the areas we can't be too skimpish on water, because we've been asked. We're going to talk about the water about the source of water and the challenges we have with water. So yes. It's dry season, yes, and it's very hot. Today, out there, because there wasn't as much entrapment of the heat and the water in the atmosphere that make you feel like you can't breathe. So we're thankful for that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any rain in the horizon, so there are lots of challenges in relation to when you're going to get good water, when you're going to get a good source of water. And there are lots of basic functions that we need water for. So hopefully we need to do the dance, because 3 weeks' time is 3 weeks? Yeah, it's Corpus Christi, and we need to plant corn and peas. And
Well,
things that
I don't know how that's going to happen. In fact, I'll tell you, today NAWASA did put out a statement regarding, the management of our water, of course, in terms of wastage, and a call for people to be more conservative, to conserve water rather than waste, because we are facing a serious dry season, droughts. Our levels are very low, the reservoirs, and so it's important that we
and our rivers.
Yes,
Yes,
yeah. Our
that is why
rivers.
when I open my pipe, the few times that water come, I get unsweetened Malta.
Right. Well, yeah. It's unsweetened, so that's a good
I
thing.
actually have brown water, which if you leave to settle, gets a little clear, relatively clear.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's because the reservoirs, wherever we have water collected and stored, are so low. And then we have all of that dust. Dust is brown.
Yes,
so,
yes, indeed.
And since all of our water is surface water, means that anything that comes in Sahara dust is in our water.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As a result, and I know now as I try, I think they try hard, because when I look at my water from one day to the other, when I do get, you see that, yes, it was brown yesterday, but today it was relatively clear. So I'm thankful, and I did say thanks on the internet this morning to NAWASA, because it could not be an easy time for them.
Yeah.
We don't get water because there's no water.
That's true.
Which takes us to a point of stewardship, which you mentioned, and also what you see.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to protect whatever little natural resources we have. If we have water, we have to use it responsibly. Primarily, drinking, cooking, bathing, cleaning, doing laundry, the things that are domestic activities.
Mm-hmm.
Take our medication to make sure that we are properly hydrated. But then you can't be washing your Hummer every day or your Mercedes Benz.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
That's right. And if you do, you're gonna have to take a bucket.
Yes, yeah.
And try and clean. So we have to be very responsible because we don't know when we're gonna get rain. The other thing is that I think we need to look down the road. The world has changed, okay? The world has changed.
And continues to change. Mm-hmm.
And will continue. That's the only thing that's constant, right?
Yep.
So in the world changing, it means that there are other responsibilities that human beings are going to have to acquire in order to survive. And one of those things is harnessing water. I remember standing up and looking at, because I can't see how much water fall from my house because it fell in the back, where I was living then. But my neighbor, there were hundreds of gallons of water coming off his roof, and he had a good collection system, and it just fell on the ground.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, boy, are we not holding on to this? We're going to have to do as countries that don't have surface water.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the measures, rainwater harvesting. Mm-hmm.
Carriacou, Bermuda. The Bermudans build their house with a tank as their foundation.
Yeah. Well, Carriacou as well. There are people in Carriacou who do have
30,000 gallon tanks under their house, because every drop of rain that falls is important and has to be harnessed. So we're going to have to stop believing that our rivers are going to flow back up and we're going to always have water. We are going to have to store. And even when we store, we tend to understand better that every drop that we store is important.
Yes, indeed. So, Doc, today being World Asthma Day, I think it's important, and we sort of gave an overview of what is happening. You mentioned the Sahara dust and so, among other things. And I just wanted to just mention a couple key facts about asthma. It is a major non-communicable disease, and it affects both children and adults. And is the most common chronic disease among children. Inflammation and narrowing of small airways in the lungs, it can cause asthma symptoms. We're going to speak about the symptoms. Interestingly, asthma affected an estimated 262 million people in 2019 and caused 455,000 deaths. And of course, we would speak about the medication and, of course, the asthma triggers, which are very important to know, especially people who are asthmatic. And we will share a couple images that we have so that folks, you can, get a good idea and have a better understanding of, what is happening. Those of you who have asthma, because you have to be very, very, very careful and pay attention to all of these things. So, Doc, asthma, a non-communicable disease. We can start the conversation.
A non-communicable chronic disease.
Yes.
Asthma tends to be ongoing. So what is a chronic disease? Let's remind ourselves. A disease that would persist, would be with you. You have to change your lifestyle to control it. Not controlling your lifestyle can mean that it gets worse. Okay, it can severely hamper your quality of life if you don't take care of it. And did I say no vaccine? Yeah, no vaccine that can. And then you don't really have a cure. You just have to change the way you live and recognize what triggers it off, as you mentioned in the case of asthma. Okay, so that we can live well. Because remember that health is not the absence of disease, but being able to live well with disease, be well. Okay? So even if you have asthma, you can live a normal life. I wish we would have a little more focus on asthma and on cancer, because there's so many people, and since it's the number one chronic disease among children, we'd really like to ensure that our children have a good quality of life, that families understand. And since asthma tends to run in families anyway, you would want people to understand what's going on. So if I have asthma, I have to make sure that my children or my nieces and nephews, make sure that healthy conditions exist so that they don't develop these issues. What are the things that are going to make me have asthma at the end of the day? So, for example, asthma falls into a big group of diseases called atopic diseases, right? So asthma is kind of related to milk allergy, because it's generally, most of its symptoms are related to allergies. Asthma is related to milk allergies, related to eczema. The things that kids get.
Yes.
The inflammation gets in your scalp. So there are a lot of things. And the longer these apparently benign, because they look like nothing wrong with them, they're not gonna, they're not severe illnesses. But the longer you have them existing, the more the possibility of it triggering off the asthma, like allergic rhinitis. In other words, allergy of your nasal symptoms related to your nasal passage, right? We say, Lord, I have allergies, and it's constant. We need to control them, because eventually it tends to go further down into the respiratory tract. So we kind of need to understand, how do I make my child better? What is it that my child might eat or drink? What are the conditions that exist? How can I send the Sahara back to the dust back to the Sahara? That'd be the nice thing. We'd all be happy. So we need to understand where this thing comes from, what are the trigger factors, in order to make sure that we do not have to deal with people who are constantly sick from asthma. And then, of course, we need to understand that, what do we do when somebody gets sick? Do we identify the symptoms? When do we take our patients, our family, our children, whoever it is, to seek care? How far can I help my child or my family at home? Am I always prepared should my child have an asthma outbreak, attack, or whoever it is? What must be there at home so that I'm well? Do you understand? Those are the things you have to take into consideration. You talked about 400 and something thousand, 65,000 people dying of asthma globally. Nobody has to die of asthma, because there are so many medications that can prevent asthma death. And remember that people who have shortness of breath get accustomed to it, so their threshold for the shortness of breath go up, and that's how a lot of people die. Apart from the fact that people may have complications, like develop pneumonias and stuff, have long-standing asthma, and you get cardiac problems and all the rest. There are ways to control it so that we don't get to that phase. So that should not be one of the outcomes for people with asthma.
Right.
Okay. I probably know about just a couple children who may have died or people who may have died because of asthma. But remember that that tolerance for the discomfort tends to different. I've seen people die elsewhere, right? For the same reason that they wait till the end of the rope and they come in and there's almost nothing you can do. And especially in times when we had less medications and we understand the disease, we understood the disease less. But today, technology does, and knowledge is very abundant. It's everywhere. Turn on your phone, read your medicine book, share medical information with your patients, because education is very important. And so tonight we're going to take into consideration those determinant factors, the social determinants, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And we can apply them. So how does my house, how does my home where I live affect whether I have asthma? And I tell you that every time we talk about asthma, even in passing, what is the most common trigger factor in the Caribbean?
Roaches.
Well, it's not just roach. It's a
roach urine.
roach,
yes.
Okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the inhalation triggers a severe respiratory response, right? So it means then we have to keep away the cardboard and the food and the, hygiene is very important. So that is a very important. That is very crucial that we keep our environments clean. Do I live where they burn in coals? But the Sahara dust. Am I keeping my house as closed as possible to avoid the dust coming into my house? We have a thing, masks. We've been wearing masks, and masks kept us from getting COVID, which is small. Masks can also keep us from inhaling the Sahara dust and the particle dust that is around. So when Mr. John burning coals, and I don't mean no specific person here, okay? Maybe I should say Mr. Nixon burning coals. We make sure that our children don't inhale. If you can see air that look white or brown or black, something in there, because air is transparent.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So smoke has a lot of particles, sometimes big, sometimes small.
Yeah,
but there are
particulate
particles
matter.
that we don't need to be inhaling. Okay? So do I live in conditions where I can avoid coming in contact with the things that trigger? Do I have access to care? Is there education? Do I have information? Am I the people responsible for me, if I were a child, are they educated enough to not believe that somebody give me Maljo and recognize in fact that I do have asthma, I am sick, and this is a disease that can be controlled according to behaviors? But does my mother still continue giving me the eggs and the cheese, the milky products that can trigger off my asthma? Do I, as an athlete, every time I run, I notice that my chest gets tight? Do I use my inhaler? Do I know that I can use an inhaler before I run to control the sweat? A child has a right, or a person has a right still to exercise and participate in competitive sports, right? So those are some of the conditions. And of course, like I said, if we have medications, if I need hospitalization, and sometimes we do, because sometimes there's severe prolonged asthma. And those are the things that take the social context. Do we have access to just plain water, right? Because we know that once a child starts having challenges, symptoms, that they need to drink a lot. Because we can talk about what happens when you have asthma. You come in contact with something that your body don't really like.
Mm-hmm.
So you and I walk in, well, everywhere in Grenada dusty now, right? So we out on the road. I have asthma, you don't. And after we walk through town for half hour with all the Sahara dust, right? You sneeze a little, I sneeze a little. Okay, there's dust. Your body sneezing is a response, okay? That is a survival response. It makes you get rid of whatever the offender is and tells you that something is wrong that you need to fix, right? So you sneeze, I might cough a little. But by 2 hours' time, I'm coughing, I'm wheezing, I can't breathe, I'm sick, because my body responds in an exaggerated form.
Right.
So that is what asthmatics, that is different from what we have. The response is extra, exaggerated, okay? And so there are a series of responses. You remember during COVID, we talked about the cytokine storm?
Yes.
So it's a similar thing where these markers, these chemical substances are released, and it's really to protect you, right? So, oh, what is this thing doing inside here? Let's deal with it. And so you have this cascading of of secretions so that you can take it out. But sometimes the secretions are really very thick, because you start coughing because the airways swell up. Where's that picture? Where's the
Yeah,
picture?
we should have Timon can help us there with the image of the normal airway and
Airway.
the
right.
the
So
airway that is asthmatic.
Right.
Timon,
So
can
let's
you
talk
have
about
that up for
how
us?
your
Yeah.
lungs most of us have seen what a lung looks like, even a drawing, or when we buy chicken, okay? Or when you kill a fowl at home, or they kill a pig, you see the two lungs,
Yeah.
two spongy organs. And they're spongy because they have very thin walls, right? Little sacs called alveoli that will expand and contract, get big and get small as you breathe, right? Takes in oxygen, and oxygen, which we need for life, kind of diffuses, kind of just goes into the blood to circulate and take care of what the body needs for its existence, right? Especially the brain. So you breathe through your nostril, it goes to the back of your throat, or you breathe through your mouth, it goes down the back of your throat into the trachea, windpipe, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the windpipe breaks into two and form two bronchi. And then these bronchi, which are basically airways, branches of the trachea that have cartilage to keep them open, okay? So cartilage is like the supports the structure, right? The lining for the pipe. And then it has there's not much muscle in the bronchi, but in the two bronchi and the trachea. But it has a lining that's kind of like your nostril, okay? So there's always also secretion. And then it branches out to smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until there are not really any branches. But some of those smaller branches, or the not so big branches, right, have muscle that helps as you breathe, right, to expand and contract, all right, and get air in and get air out, get air in and get air out of your body. Sorry, I'm just trying to shoot myself. So when you get down to those smaller airways, they have cartilage, they have muscle, and then they have this thin lining or epithelium, right? Endothelium, because it's inside. And so when you have this cascade storm, all these secretions come because it's like, we have this stuff coming. Let's put some more. Let's put some liquid in here to get rid of it.
To get rid of it, that's right.
The first symptom the person with asthma has is that they will start coughing, because your body wants to
get rid of something.
Expel, right? Expel of whatever has gotten in there, right? It's like when we talk about when something go down the wrong throat.
Yeah.
So that's something we know. I'm drinking juice and I'm talking foolishness, and a little bit of juice fall down. I'm not minding my business, and it goes into into your respiratory tract. That's what it's referred to as the wrong throat. And instead of going into your
esophagus, yes,
right? So in the same way, you have all the secretions, and your body coughs, because when you choke, you start coughing, right? And the reason why you cough is to get rid of that stuff that's not supposed to be in there. So when the cascade storm, the cytokine storm occurs, you have all the secretion coming on, and it's ready to help to remove whatever is lining the membrane of the lining, of the respiratory tract, right? And to try and get it out. So asthma, the first symptom you see is coughing. But remember, it's just whatever is there causes a lot of swelling of the tract, lots of swelling. So if this were the original, let me use this hand. If this were the original width of the airway, right? It's swell up. So when it swells up, it's not an outside, but inside gets smaller because you have swelling, right, along the whole lining, right? So already the airway gets smaller, right? And then you have all the secretion, but the secretions that occur with asthmatics is thick. You know, that thick, you can almost spit it out like you had a bean in your throat. It's just really, really thick. It's not simple fluid, saliva, or secretions when you have a common cold. thick. It looks like thick like a pearl. It looks pearly, right? And it's thick and it blocks the airway. If you cough that, your breathing improves immediately, right? If you can get it out of the airways. And then the muscle, remember I said some parts of the airways have muscle, the smaller passages have muscle, constricts. Poof.
Yep.
So whereas you needed this to breathe normally, you now have like this. Okay? And the asthmatic has severe problem breathing, they're coughing, right? And they wheeze. And a wheeze is something like a whistle. You can't whistle with your mouth open, right? Can you?
No, you can't.
So try imagine if you're gonna whistle, you have to close your mouth, right?
Yeah.
And force the air out.
So you get that sound, yes.
So that's what you get, that whistling sound. Okay? That whistling sound. And people call it pressing because they feel this kind of oppression, like something really sitting on their chest. Simply because you can breathe in asthma. You can breathe, but your body doesn't allow you to push the air out. Right? And the longer you stay, the bigger the chest gets, and you really get that sensation of oppression in your chest, okay? Which you really want to get rid of so that the person can breathe comfortably. So they're taking all the air and they can't get it out. They're taking all the air and they can't get a whole lot out, and it's really uncomfortable for them. You kind of need to know if you're the adult asthmatic when this is not good. I mean, I saw somebody today, and there's another friend of mine who would walk and I'd say to her, your asthma is on. And she says, really, can you hear me breathe? Yes, I can hear you breathe. Nobody's supposed to hear you breathe. And they talk or they laugh and they go, you hear that high-pitched sound that comes from the chest.
Yes, yeah.
Right? And you have to learn exactly what this is. Okay, and parents need to know when their children need to go. In the case of children, especially very young children, when the asthma becomes severe, you can actually see between the ribs, the muscles contracting, right? Because they have to force so much. They use the abdominal muscles to breathe, and those little muscles between the ribs, right? You can see, and so the ribs actually goes in and comes out, goes in and comes out, right? Those space between in the rib cage, you actually see dips in them, and that is not a good sign at all. Okay, that shows that somebody who's really, really having a lot of distress getting air in and out of their lungs, especially getting it out. All right, so that's basically what it is in a nutshell. You start coughing, something triggers off your asthma. There's almost often a cough. In our case, apart from inhaling inhaling the PP. And the other things like what you eat and stuff, having a cold, just having a simple common cold, right? Because it tends to irritate the lining of the lung, right? Can trigger off your asthma. So all of those things need to be treated, need to be recognized early and treated so as to avoid a prolonged attack, right? And avoid things like hospitalization and secondary infections like developing a pneumonia, which is an inflammation of the lung tissue itself.
Right. So, Doc, let's just go on a little further. We just spoke about some of the symptoms. Let's delve a little deeper into the causes. We did speak earlier about some of the little triggers and so, but the actual causes, and maybe I can just share a little bit here. Many factors have been linked to an increased risk of developing asthma, although it is often difficult to find a single direct cause. And folks, I'm just sharing the information here from the World Health Organization site, and we did say that today is World Asthma Day. So asthma is more likely if other family members also have asthma, particularly a close relative, such as a parent or sibling. Asthma is more likely in people who have other allergic conditions, such as eczema and rhinitis. You mentioned that, Doc. Here is one interestingly. Urbanization is associated with increased asthma prevalence, probably due to multiple lifestyle factors. Let's talk a bit about that.
Urbanization means that we don't enjoy a lot of the natural environment as we can. Because of urbanization, we tend to spend a lot more time inside. and we at greater risk for having contact with moles and mites and dander from animals and stuff that's inside the house. And it's related again, social determinants. Do we let our children go outside and run up and down and play, or do we going to let them sit on the sofa every day with all the pet dander, all the dust, everything, right? And play on their tablets and whatever handheld devices. Sometimes lack of exercise can trigger it off. Obesity in our children can be a factor that leads up to you having asthma, because your breathing patterns are not well, and it can also worsen asthma. Well, urbanization also comes with industrialization, and so you have more cars, sending off more
carbon monoxide and things like that. Mm-hmm.
More chemicals. Whether or not you see it or smell it, it's there. You have factories. You remember during COVID, and China's always had a lot of smog, right?
Yep.
And when they closed down their factories, some people in China had seen the blue sky for the first time in their lives.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And we see it now. We see it every day, because as a child growing up, I did not know what it looked like not to see a blue sky every day unless it's rainy season and rainfall. And even so, when it rain and stuff, and you get to see the blue sky come on. I don't know when last we see nice blue sky, and we do have blue sky above this, right? Above this, all of the Sahara dust we see currently. So the smoke industrialization has in fact been thing. And then you have things like overpopulation. What do you call when your house have too many people?
Overcrowded. Yes.
Overcrowding and smoking. So, especially people who smoke inside their houses, or if you might rent an apartment where somebody smoked, and they have not only secondhand smoke that somebody's there, but third-hand smoke where it's embedded in the carpet and in the furniture and in the walls and all the rest. So those are other trigger factors that can occur.
Yes, indeed. Also, exposure to a range of environmental allergens and irritants are also thought to increase the risk of asthma, including indoor and outdoor air pollution. House dust mites we spoke about.
And interesting, because some of those toxins are not yet identified. They just know that they're there.
Right.
And we have not done enough environmental studies to figure out what is it and what causes what exactly. But we know that there are lots of environmental toxins. When you have a dump, the garbage dump, Perseverance, for example, on fire, right? And all of those gases that are released that we don't normally see. Yeah, there's methane gas that occurs on cars, but when you have plastics burning and a lot of other, I want to say synthetic substances that burn, I don't even know what comes out of there. So if you have people who burn stuff, you get up and put stuff and you burn it, right? And there's burning. There are environmental allergens that can trigger off people's asthma. You don't even know what it is yet. Mm-hmm. The very fact that there's some chemical in the air can cause you to have can cause somebody's asthma to be triggered.
Right. What about so for example, people who have things like animal pens around their homes? Like
pet dander,
pig sties and things like that.
Cat dander. That is what they shed of their fur, right? That can severely trigger off asthma in especially in our children and in our adults too. I know adults who have no real family history. The family have a history of eczema, and this one person I know very well. Went to a friend's house while she was going to college, and he had a cat, and they all went to visit this friend. He had a cat, and the cat up, canoodling her and stuff. And next thing, she's in a hospital because she developed an asthma attack. Never had an asthma attack before, but she developed she had an asthma attack, and she she's She will do an allergy test to figure out what it is that she's allergic to. Also, in the time, like when it comes down to the fall, at the end of towards the end of the rainy season, when the ragweed and a lot of the outside weeds proliferate, when it's their time, you can have people having asthma as a result.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, because the allergies get triggered off.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about the treatment. How do we treat asthma? Because if someone gets an attack, time is always very critical with an asthma attack. And depending on where you live, if you need hospital care, it can be a little problematic. So let's talk about treating it. I don't know if there's anything you can do at home other than having your puffs and so. So let's talk a bit about that. When you use the puff, what puffs do you use? What when you use the puff, what happens, and so on and so forth.
Okay. So first of all, I don't think I try to make that none of my asthmatics go to the hospital. So it's very important that people who care for asthmatics educate their patients. I also think that parents must be educated to understand what is going on and when do I move. Okay? I'm trying to get a time for you. So like prior to 1990, I remember working in the ER in another jurisdiction, and an asthmatic come in. Figure out a 3-year-old asthmatic comes in at 3 o'clock in the morning, and the light is always bad in that ER, and you have to put up a drip because the only treatment you have is a drip. We didn't have all the inhalers and stuff that we use now, right? So go figure, right? And I remember one girl. Came in one night and couldn't breathe and was dying. And I'm in this little hospital. They don't have a lot of resources, but is there like a urgent care, but not a sophisticated urgent care center. And I remember having to find a drip, a line in a vein. We can put up a line. Oh my God, that was the most frightening experience, because here it has little girl who never talked a lot, and she's just looking at me like, you have to fix this. You have to fix. She's not saying anything, but I see this child dying in front of me. And I got a drip and used a lot of steroids. There are other medications you can use urgently. But I think the most important thing is that caregivers, the nurses, the doctors who see patients with asthma know what you are supposed to do. It is very important that we keep up to date with knowledge and information and technology. And I'm a little girl getting better. Man, that was one of the most difficult things. There's another girl who actually went to medical school because of our encounter with her having asthma, and she also came into the ER at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm there trying to convince her, you're going to be fine, baby. Let's get your drip. And she's crying and saying, yes. And I'm saying, I'm really sorry, I have to stick you. No, she's a gynecologist, though. Very good young doctor. But hear me, you kind of need to know what you have to do now. The most important thing is to prevent the further collapsing. Well, to control the inflammation, because remember, that swelling and that inflamed response that occurs on the lining of the airways, right, would have been occurring over a period of time. So you're exposed to whatever allergen, whatever the trigger, you're there, and your body responds. Because remember, you have your cytokine storm, you have things happening, you have an allergic response. Your body will say, don't hit me, and it kind of swell up to block it, to block whatever is coming on. So you have the first thing that happens is that you have all of that inflammation in the airway. And child will be coughing, and you listen to the chest, and he's not really wheezing. But you also need to know to tell the child how to breathe so you can hear the wheezing. And it's that those breathing out wheezes that let you know that the airways are really compromised. All right. So parents need to know when the child just has swelling, and then they kind of need to know when there's a lot of secretions blocking that airways, and then they certainly need to know when the airways, the muscles have closed down. But education is what gives that. So let's say we don't know, you're living, I want to find a place in the middle of green. Let's say you live in, where you live, Tivoli? Well, where you live up in the exotic part of St. David's. And you have you don't have a hospital or a clinic on that side, right?
No.
You might want to go to Mirabel, but then you say, no, it's easy for me to just get on the highway and drive into St. George's, right? You kind of need to move soon because most people have severe asthmatic attacks in the night. Most people have severe asthmatic attacks in the night.
Mm-hmm.
And the mother told this child coughed in my ears all night last night. And look at her this morning running around because the night seems to affect that whole picture a whole lot more. It's more accentuated, right? The child starts coughing in the evening. If you don't know, you don't have any medication, just go to the ER so the child can get some medication, get some nebulization, get some steroids, and go home. So, first of all, we prevent by telling the patient, by making sure that people who are prone to asthma, have asthma, are not exposed to what it is that will trigger the asthma. Okay? So your uncle can't come inside smoking him spliff or smoking in tobacco. Your grandmother can't have her pipe in the house. No. Or go outside and smoke if you want to smoke. No smoking inside here. A lot of people have the habit of smoking their babies to take away maljo. Smoke don't take away no maljo, okay? And what you do is get this child to inhale all this particulate matter, which is not good, which is going to cause a response anyway, whether or not the child has asthma. So you do as much as you can to prevent. You encourage your child to always drink a lot of water because you want to make sure that if the child has a response, when that secretion is formed in the airways, that is not thick and literally like, like when glue starts dry out.
Yeah.
It's soft, but that's what it comes like. It's soft, but it's solid. At the same time,
thick.
Right? So what you want to ensure is that whatever mucus gathers, it's fluid, so you can tap your child, do a little physiotherapy, or encourage them to cough, and it comes out. Because trust me, the relief comes immediately, like nothing happened. All right. So you can do those things at home. Do the physio, make sure you get water, and if you have medications. What do we use generally? We use 2 sets of medications in the same way. I tell people don't take the antihistamines like Benadryl and the Zyrtec and stuff, which although it may work to control your allergies, if your asthma come on, it tends to dry out your airways. So it will make your mucus plug a little thicker, make it more like concrete. Okay, well, not so much, but make it thick and harder to remove. So what you do if the mucus plug is not happening, you have inhalers, right? We have inhalers now. Every day you should use your anti-inflammatory inhaler, which is the brown inhaler. Some people have 2 inhalers. There's sometimes combination inhalers like Symbicort, right, which has 2 medications. What are the 2 medications used? We use what you call a bronchodilator, the blue inhaler, right, the Ventolin. It relaxes the muscle so the airways can open back some. But you need to have that brown inhaler because what it does is control the inflammation of the airways. All the swelling and stuff that occurs at the level of the airways, it avoids that. All right? And there are other medications like Montelukast, which kind of works with the cytokine storm and prevents the cells that will go down into the lining from to take care of the allergy. So it doesn't trigger off that extreme response, right? So you take things like Montelukast, especially severe asthmatics. You use Montelukast or Singulair, which is they have liquid and salt and tablets, and that if you have regular, ongoing, constant, you can use that. Or if you know seasonally is going to come on, you start when pollen season. Luckily, I was looking at the thing today, at the weather thing. We have zero pollen. I'm like, really? Well, we don't need to have pollen on top of all that Sahara dust anyway. But in North America, you get up in the morning and your whole of your car is green. Right? What you think makes it... Let's talk about that after. The factors, because I want to talk about climate change a little, because that's one of our challenges in relation to asthma. So, you use your inhalers every day. You use your brown inhaler every day. And your child uses inhaler every day. If it's Symbicort, use it every day. Symbicort has two components, like I say, and there are some others, okay? Advair, others. They have two medications. One is that, like the blue inhaler, has Ventolin or bronchodilator, which opens back the airway. But that is your rescue inhaler, because the last thing that happens is that constriction, right?
So the blue one is the
rescue.
Right.
Right? What you want to use is the brown inhaler every day to control the swelling, the irritation on the lining of the mucosa, which also makes you have the extra secretions, but it also makes the mucosa fat. So as a result, the airway is always small. So you want to use your brown inhaler. Your brown inhaler is your standard. My words are failing me. I'm sorry, but it is your medication you use as your prevention for your prevention of a severe of your attack coming on, right? If you have been sick and out of hospital or now back in your normal routine, you need to just use your brown inhaler every day, right? Especially if you get attacks very regularly. Some people don't get attacks very regularly, but some people do. If you're one of those people who have attacks, like every time breeze blow, or you see like one like a square inch of dust, you will have a response, a severe response. You have to use your inhaler every day. How do we do this though? I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you how you use your inhaler. Shake your inhaler, right? Take a deep breath, then blow out, then do 2 puffs at the back of your mouth, and then you take it in, you hold it, breathe out your nose, and you take a deep breath again, and you hold it as long as you can. You think you can do that? That's really difficult to follow, isn't it? Are you hearing me, Godfrey?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So hear me, I'm going to tell you again. Shake your inhaler to make sure all the components of the inhaler, mix up properly. Shake it, take a deep breath in, blow out, do 2 puffs at the back of your throat, and hold it without your nose. Then another deep breath, and hold it as long as you can, either of them. But that is very difficult to coordinate. I've tried to do this in my office. I don't have asthma, but I've tried to show patients how to do it. No. There's a very simple but very effective piece of equipment called a spacer. And you probably have seen it. I'm sorry, I didn't take one home. A spacer allows you to put your puff at the bottom.
Yeah.
So it has a space at the bottom here, right? You put your puff at the bottom. Let me use the bottle. You put your puff in at the bottom, right?
Yeah.
It fits perfectly in here. And then you puff, and it goes into a chamber. And at the top, it has a smaller space. And then you could put a face mask like they use in the hospital. And so you put the 2 puffs in there, you put it over the person's face, and then breathe. Breathe for 3 to 5 minutes. Because try to imagine a 2-year-old having to breathe in and hold and breathe when you squeeze and all of that. The whole coordination of that process makes it very difficult, and that is why asthmatics have a lot of problems. I tell everybody buy a spacer. Buy a spacer is if you buy a spacer, the fee you have to cost it to put gas and don't sleep and use a day's work is already paid for. It's already it's already taken care of, because the spacer, the medication stays in that little air chamber. You have a mask over your face and you're breathing in and out gently until it's finished. Okay? And people tell you, yes, they feel better because the medication goes in. You can use a rescue inhaler or whichever one in there. But I advise people get a spacer. It costs a little money, probably like $100. I'm not sure, but it works. Buy a spacer.
Yeah, right. It's definitely worth it.
It works. Because the medication is there, and you don't have to coordinate and breathe the right time. And so I've seen people put a puff in their mouth and swallow, and my spacer doesn't work. And there's this very famous episode of House, Dr. House, and this woman comes and she's complaining, my inhaler doesn't work, my asthma medication is not working. And says, okay, you use it? Yes, I use it all the time. I've gone through 3 inhalers and nothing. I don't feel any better. Show me how you use it. And she actually takes it, the puff, and sprays it like perfume on her neck. Right? So if you don't use it right, it's not going to happen. So every day you use your brown inhaler. When you get the symptoms do not improve, you use your blue inhaler. If you have severe symptoms, you have to use both of them because it probably means, right? Sometimes we hear wheezing. Sometimes the ordinary people, right? You can hear the wheezing. If you hear wheezing, that's a good reason to go to the doctor. If you don't know when your child is at risk or you at risk, go to the doctor. But you have to also understand how your body responds to this whole asthma thing, right? And if you don't know, you need to go to the ER. The ER is actually supposed to see asthmatics as a means of priority.
Excellent. Let's talk a little bit about and we touch a few of these things, but just to go a little deeper, the social determinants of health. One of them that we spoke about, I think last week, we dealt with the issue of education. And in the case of asthma, I think education is very important because the WHO speaks to the importance of raising community awareness to reduce the myths and stigma associated with asthma in some settings. So education is very important, and you kept pressing in. People need to know and people need to understand what is involved. Because if you have information, then, so for example, the individual who used it like a perfume, lack of education on the issue could have probably caused some serious issues for her. So education is also very important, and that would help you with your self-care. And this is where I want to go. The whole issue of self-care, Doc. Mm-hmm.
Your self-care first is an appreciation of what your situation is, and how do you prevent whatever your condition is unfolding, right? And if it should unfold, what do you do to revert to normal, basically? What are all the factors that determine that you would get sick? How do you prevent them from affecting you? If you do get sick, being able to understand, right, and to know where do you seek care, because you must always want to feel well. You must always want to be well, right? And that first thing of preventing is very important. You have to understand what your disease is and how you can avoid the triggers and that cause your disease to come on. You have to understand how the triggers and the disease are related, and try your best to stay well.
Wonderful, wonderful indeed. So, Doc, I tell you what, let's take a short break. When we come back, we're going to open the telephone lines, and then we can look at the whole issue of the climate change and how that is connected with asthma, how patients with asthma need to adapt and try to mitigate, all the changing climatic conditions. So stay with us. We take a short break and we will be right back.
and welcome to the Super 6 Draw presentation for this evening, Tuesday, the 7th of May, 2024. I am your hostess, Kijan Smith. Super 6 is a multi-jurisdictional game owned by Winlot Inc. and is played within the islands of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dominica, Grenada, and St. Lucia. Tonight's jackpot is valued at $210,000. We'll now get ready to select your free ticket letter. Good luck. Your free ticket letter is N. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back with tonight's winning numbers.
More jackpot money, more reasons to play this game. More money for way. Super 6 a bigger jackpot game.
Now you love Super 6 even more.
With more money, the jackpot galore. Play more, win more, have more fun. With more jackpot money,
Super 6 is my number one.
with the new and improved Super 6 game, the jackpot keep growing and growing.
I'm growing.
More jackpot money, more reasons to play this game. More money for way. Super 6 a bigger jackpot game. Super 6, bigger jackpots, more chances to win.
Welcome back. Let's now get ready for your Super 6 winning numbers. Good luck. The first number is 17. The second number is 22. The third number is 10. The fourth number is 6. The fifth number is 27. And the final number is 3. To recap, your Super 6 winning numbers are 17, 22, 10, 6, 27, and 3. Your free ticket letter is N. Tonight's winning numbers were drawn under the supervision of an auditor from BDO. Please contact your relevant Central Lottery office for further information on the payment of prizes. Thank you all for playing responsibly, and remember, with Super 6 there are bigger jackpots and more chances to win. Our next Super 6 draw takes place on Friday, the 10th of May 2024. Until then, have yourself a wonderful evening.
Have you heard about the new Softweave bathroom tissue with total hygiene? As hygiene and safety have taken center stage, our bathroom tissue is now manufactured with 3 different technologies to offer the best protection for you and your family. UVC light technology for a safe and effective disinfection process, eliminating 99.9% of microorganisms. Also, production at high temperatures, killing all types of germs and bacteria. And it's pH controlled with delicate fibers to prevent irritation for even sensitive skin. Softweave Total Hygiene Bathroom Tissue, available in supermarkets and shops island-wide. Visit Softweave Caribbean Facebook or Instagram pages for more information.
I'm a VIP. I'm a VIP. I'm a VIP.
Are you a VIP? Have you taken the necessary steps to safeguard your child's health? Let's get it right. Get your child on their vaccination schedule. Our national protection and coverage is our national priority. Our actions will impact Grenada's health and wellness. Let's make childhood immunization and vaccination number one. I am Senator Jonathan Lacrette, and I am a VIP champion. Let's make all our children VIPs, vaccinated, immunized, and protected.
Let's all be VIP champions.
A message from the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Religious Affairs, Be a VIP Childhood Vaccination and Immunization Campaign in collaboration with UNICEF and the Pan American Health Organization.
In honor of the Grenada 50th Independence, the Royal Grenada Police Force Band presents the second annual Mother's Night Out. Mother's Night Out. The concerts all going down on Sunday, May 12th from 5 p.m. at the Grenada Trade Center. Featuring live from TNT. It's crazy.
Time to come. America will have a black president.
John King.
How many more?
June Lodge. Together with the Hitman Inspector, Valine Ned, Samantha Dixon, Alex Phillip, Shane, Innocent, General PP, Kareem, Alexis, Ron Barry, the African Man, and much more. Dress code elegant. It's Mother's Night Out, the Grenada Trade Center from 5 p.m. on Sunday, May 12th. Lots of giveaways and prizes to be won. Champagne and roses on entry. You don't want to miss this amazing experience for mothers. Your tickets only $70 and are available from Gittins Pharmacy in Grand Dance and Grenville, Grenadian Optical, the Police Bandhouse, Police Canteen. Make this a date for mothers.
Are you looking for a reliable, affordable, and customer-friendly pharmacy? Look no further than Hills and Valley Pharmacy, the nation's leading healthcare products and services provider. We are committed to serving you at convenient locations. Find an extensive and affordable selection of prescription and over-the-counter drugs and medical supplies at Church Street, Hillsborough, Carriacou, Jubilee Street, Grenville, St. Andrew, near the bus terminal, and Halifax and Grenville Street, St. George. Our committed team is always available to offer valuable assistance for managing your health and wellness. Discover the additional benefits of our wholesale distribution on Halifax Street and our Medcare Center on Grenville Street, where we provide in-house physiotherapy, massage therapy, doctor consultations, and eye care services. Our commitment is to satisfy all your healthcare needs, including competitive prices, loyalty rewards, and special discounts for seniors. Contact us at 435-6904 and WhatsApp 535-4734. Choose Hills and Valley Pharmacy. Remember, your health is our business.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Doctor in Call, and today it's World Asthma Day, and so we're talking a bit about the condition. It's a chronic non-communicable condition that could be detrimental if proper care is not taken, and understanding all about that condition. Our telephone line is open, so if you have any questions you would like to ask regarding that, you can do so. The number is 435-2041. You have any questions on asthma, you can do that, 435-2041. Doc, we have a caller on the line. Let's go to the telephone. Doctor in Call, good evening.
Oh, good evening, Dr. Godfrey.
How are you doing?
Not too bad. How are you today?
Not bad at all.
Good evening to the doctor. Now, I had a friend who was a teacher by profession. He had asthma all his life. Up to about 20 years, we interacted. After paying attention to his suffering, because he had acute asthma, the slightest refusal would attack the asthma, I got an inspiration against the advice of his mother that he should go and bathe in the river, cold water, at 5 o'clock in the morning. We went to the river at that hour, take a good soaking in the river. On his return, that was the end of asthma. He since traveled to England. Never suffered the asthma again. But he died last year at about 80 years of age. What do you think happened there, Doc?
I'm laughing because I had a personal experience. So guess what? One of the things I was going to talk about was about local traditional medicine, which has its place, okay, if it works. I don't know what happened there, but there's also divine intervention. So that's what I'm going to put that down to. But I'm going to give you. So you know that one of our traditional methods, right, is the whole lizard jump up in the water thing, in the coconut water. Do you know about that, Godfrey?
Well, I've heard about it on many occasions, but that's just it. I've just heard about it.
And I'm putting this out there because I've told many persons, this is my personal experience. Everybody thought I had asthma. I, as a child, would get stridor. I'd get allergic epiglottitis. So my airways were literally shut down from up in the back of my throat, right? They thought I had asthma, so I remember the day. I was probably like 3, and I remember the day of the coconut water, of the lizard in the coconut water. So, what do you do? What do you know? There's a hormone that's released, right? When you get scared, right?
Yeah.
You know what it's called?
Yes.
Adrenaline.
Adrenaline, yes. Just.
So if you grab a lizard, right, and you drop it in a coconut, usually they cut the coconut high and they drop the lizard in there, and the lizard dance and run away because they're so scared. What do you think the lizard is going to do?
Of course, release adrenaline as well.
To its skin, right?
Yep.
So if you give somebody asthma who has, because one of the things that we don't know, we don't use a lot, which works, is adrenaline, because adrenaline is what you use when people have severe allergic problems. You give them under the subcutaneously, right? You give them 16 units. You push 8 units. You push 4 units. Little bit in it. Use one of those little insulin syringes. Asthma, your airways, it stops the allergic reaction, right? And people. So, like I tell you, they thought I had asthma. And I'm living in the country. Yeah. I live 3 miles from town, but that's country to me, okay? Because you see me look around because I see firefly flying around every so often. And when we started, a cricket jump on my dress and all those kind of stuff, right? But the river's across the road from me, and I could not go to the river. Because that's probably one of the things. We overprotect, and so your body does not get a chance to respond to just being in a natural environment. And so my grandmother, you remember the big old lard pan, butter pan them?
Yes.
My water gets collected in the morning from the river and put outside, and the sun is followed. And I bathe 2 o'clock in the day in plain sun, okay? Out there in warm sunshine, and I'm wrapped up. And then when my hair dries, 5 hours of towel drying, and I had thick, long hair as a child, and all of that. And I live across the road, and literally our property ends on the road, and you cross the road and you're in the river, right?
Right.
And I used to go down the river with shoes and socks. Hello? And one day, I'm home, I'm 3, with my grandmother. She's back at the shop, in the kitchen, the outdoor kitchen. She's cooking. And a lady comes to me, and I still have the image of this lady. I think now, in estimate, probably like a 25-year-old lady wearing a brown print dress. And she tells me, come. Right? And I said, well, you have to wear flannel on your clothes on them because you really have to keep the body temperature right? And I was actually, the lady tells me, come, and the front of the shop had a cantilever, but it was an old building. It was an old wooden building. And water, a cantilever is a what do you call it, like a thing that covers the balcony, right? So it had this cantilever, and the galvanized had a hole. And there was a little puddle, a space for like a puddle like this, right? And a little puddle of water. And the lady tells me I must take my shoe off. Take my shoe and my socks on. She says, stand in the water. Not to look at her again like, why? Because my grandmother is going to kill me if I take my shoe and socks off and stand in water. And I can tell you, I still feel when I talk about it, the warmth emanating, just going from my feet right up to my body. I have never had allergies again. I live in Boston and wash my hair and pull it back in one and walk in the winter and go to church without hat and my hair dry, and I wash my hair and go to bed and all the rest of it, right? So I think that's just divine intervention, and we it does happen, but maybe there's scientific explanations as to what are the processes that are affected by this intervention. But I'm happy to hear that this man maybe he's just really overprotected, and the things he needed to do weren't happening, so his body just didn't have that kind of adjustment capacity.
Right.
But thank you for that story, and now everybody know my business that Angel cure my.
Supposed to be asthma.
3-4 times a year. I've been to the hospital. I remember being in the hospital as a 2-year-old with this stridor thing, and then we didn't have inhaler. You know, you go to we didn't have those medications. I have no clue what was given to me, right? So today's probably gonna be different. A child comes to they have stridor, or the chest is tight. You put an inhaler, you put medications, and they open the airways, right? I have no clue what happened to me, but that Angel lady know that medication that was necessary wasn't ready, so she'll come and fix me up.
Right, wonderful. So, Doc, the number 435-2041, you can give us a call, questions, you want to share something with us, we'll be more than happy. Let's go back to the telephone. Doctor on call, good evening.
Yes, good evening, Doc. I remember in the old days that upstairs gale. Remember upstairs gale?
Caller, you need to turn the volume of your radio, your TV down, and listen to us on your telephone. We're getting a feedback, so we're not hearing you clearly.
Okay, are you hearing me better?
Yes. No, you need to turn down still. No, turn the volume, turn it off, and listen to us on your telephone.
Turn it down, volume 0.
Hold on. Thank you.
Just relax. Take your time.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, Doc. I'm coming to you. I had 3 children that had this asthma stuff. And I don't know if you remember upstairs Gales, there was a doctor. The Gales was in the junction by the bank. Upstairs where they had doctors there. Right. Doctor, I had brought that child to Dr. Radix. And he had given the child 2. What are the Radix and Olanzapine? And he gave the child 2 injections and 4 tiny tablets, and tell me sit there for half an hour. And when I was leaving, he gave me the same 4 little tablets and some capsules but the name of the capsules is Mendaco. But I'm not seeing that anymore wrong. Is that existent?
Go back 1 minute. You go back like 10 seconds because we didn't hear you. We were lost for a little while. The last thing we heard is that he gave her 2 injections and some tiny tablets.
Yeah. And then he gave me some capsules, that name of Mendaco. I could never forget that name. It's a black capsule. I'm not seeing it on
Mendaco?
Yes.
Okay. So I will imagine that the tablets that you got may have been something like prednisolone, which is a steroid, which is the same thing that you get in the brown inhaler. It might take a little longer, but it really controls the inflammation.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to know because they still have the asthma, and they're all in the 30s.
Yeah, but the truth is, we don't have to be sick because there are ways. Okay, let me see if I can figure out what is Mendaco here.
Okay, well, we'll find out. Because that's what he gave me.
Mendaco, somebody phoned about Mendaco tablets were used for treating asthma, bronchitis, and hay fever. That solves your thing?
Yeah.
Let me see what it has. Oh, what it had? What the bottle that says it had written in a different language. So Mendaco was used for treated. I don't see what the components are. And it's considered vintage, the bottle that they have, so it's a long time. So I understand what you're saying. I don't think that medications is available. All they're selling are the bottles, so it's not. But it was used for, so maybe something to control allergies.
Right.
Contain potassium iodine. That's interesting. So one of the things I saw today when I was reading through is that sometimes our patients lack shows that our nutrition does have a way of dealing of controlling some of the diseases that we have. This is a very interesting piece of information for me. Are you there, Godfrey?
Yes, I'm here. I lost you for a moment, but we're back.
So this is very interesting because I've never heard about this. So thank you for sharing that information with us. This is not available anymore because the bottles are actually being sold on the internet. It's not really available. So,
all right.
So therefore, one of the things we have to consider, and again, as a determinant, is having a very balanced meal that have all the things that we need to eat to make sure that our bodies can respond and prevent diseases that can affect us.
Right. So, Doc, the number again, folks, 435-2041. You can give us a call if you have any questions. I just wanted to, the fact that today is World Asthma Day, I just wanted to share a little bit about it. And the theme for World Asthma Day, Asthma Education Empowers. So that's the theme. That was the theme for today, and it emphasizes the importance of collaboration and solidarity in addressing the challenges faced by asthma patients worldwide. It highlights the need for collective action to ensure that everyone with asthma can breathe easy and live a full and active life. And just to quickly share the significance of World Asthma Day: 1, raising awareness; 2, reducing stigma; 3, promoting education and training; 4, advocating for policy change; 5, encouraging research and innovation. And of course, there were some activities that took place today, but I think the significance, Doc, is quite important. Raising awareness as what we are trying to do now on this program, reducing the stigma. You did mention earlier that people should not be dying from asthma, but of course, if they have information, look, you can live a normal, healthy life and breathe properly. Promoting education and training, I think this is something that should be done from all quarters, not just here on Doctor and Call, but from the ministry level, at school, wherever. Promoting education so people can, be or have a good understanding of the condition so that they know exactly what to do. Advocating for policy change. Doc, this is where I want you to come in here. Advocating for policy change, and of course that's relating to asthma, because they're saying World Asthma Day advocates for policy change to improve asthma care and support at local, national and global levels. It calls for increased investment in asthma research, healthcare infrastructure and public health initiatives to reduce the burden of asthma on individuals and the society.
And the burden and outcomes, okay?
Yes.
So if you listen to everything you said, this is a closed circle. Everything is interrelated. The education, the awareness, the facilities, the policies, and everything. In other jurisdictions, what you have is like you have like asthma awareness groups, right? Often led by health personnel who mostly basically educate and help to advocate. It's one of the things I've spoken about a lot, and I've tried to let us get going, because you have Sickle Cell Association, you have Diabetes Association, you have, and if asthma is so prevalent among our children, 1 in 13 persons in the US have asthma. And I guess our statistics may be like that. And asthma of different kinds. What causes it and how long it lasts. Because you can have an asthma attack one-off and you take an inhaler and you're gone away, and 6 months before you even remember you had an asthmatic attack. But there are people who would have, severe prolonged, mild prolonged, moderate prolonged attacks, right? And you want to be able to control that. But it calls for lots of layers on this onion. You in the middle as a victim of asthma, your family and them understanding and treating, your community. I remember as children talking about, not in necessarily glowing terms about this boy with pressing, okay? And it's like you almost recognize them. It's almost like a situation of bullying and disrespecting and where you're pressing, you can't come and play. No, you can't breathe. You're pressing, right? So in this time when we talk about inclusiveness, we have to find ways to look at every disease entity and ensure that people understand so they can live, right? So that we can have equity, right? So that they can have what they need. There are people who have a nebulizer at their house where their children start wheezing. You nebulize 3 or 4 times, it doesn't happen, you move to the hospital. But that is going to cause for policy to recognize that asthma is a challenge, that it costs us a lot of money. When I'm in a hospital all night with my child, who's wheezing and doesn't settle down, I'm not going to work tomorrow. What use? Plus, I need to stay home with my child anyway. So we need to look at the social and the economic impacts, right? Because asthma in a child doesn't just affect him. It's not like an adult having hypertension or diabetes. It affects his mother, his father, his other siblings who can't sleep because he's crying all night because he don't feel well and all the rest. It affects a child who lives up in Woy and can't get out to come to the hospital in the night, right? So we have to find ways so we can come together as people who know about asthma and as people who have suffered from asthma and set up a asthma foundation or whatever it is so we can. In Bermuda, for example, the Asthma Association, I think, helps people to access the medications, the inhalers, spacers, things that make their lives easier and decreases the burden that asthma places on already overburdened, fragile, fragmented health system. So that's very important that we have things. I know one doctor does an asthma clinic, Dr. Larry Frederick, does an asthma clinic. But that's good, but we kind of need to move forward, right? I don't know that he's going to want to take that on, but there are families out there. Come together. 2, 3, 4 families. Start asthma awareness groups.
Yes,
they do need
definitely.
help.
Definitely.
But sometimes the advocacy has to come from the people who are the ones suffering. And parents suffer more emotionally and mentally, right? Watching their children can hardly breathe, floppy, getting blue, really sick, very ill, hospitalized with a mask on and a whole lot of other things. So I think we need to come together. And of course, there must be support from the health sector. There must be support from the government and the people who are responsible for policy. There's an article today about vaping, which comes in here, which is a commercial determinant of asthma. Because vaping is breathing in hot air with nicotine that breaks up those little sacs that have the alveolus, oxygen, right? Breaks it that make you look like popcorn, literally. Like when you have popcorn and the corn just split and everything just thing. You lose it nice, smooth, regular structure. And those are the things that have to come into play because we see our children, I'll send you that article, we see our children who are 10 and 12 vaping because it's the thing to do. No, it's not the thing to do. Parents are not even aware that their children are vaping, right? Because they have the money and they buy it and they have it in their school bag and it look like a pen or it look like a USB right thing, just
flash
like
drive.
a flash drive. Like flash drive and those kind of stuff. But those are the things we have to come together to understand. what are the challenges we have, but it has to come from within the community as well, and supported certainly by government. That's one of the things I'm going to talk to people on the NCD Commission on, to see how we can get that going, because we have people, and it's a pity that we have so many people who probably suffer from asthma, but who are out there suffering alone.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
And the children can't play. Yes, you can play if you have asthma. Take your pump and go run up and down.
Yeah.
Use your rescue inhaler, puff, and you run up and down. But they don't know, right? And because we tend to probably see a lot of those children when they're in crisis.
Yeah, we don't understand. Yes.
We don't get an opportunity to do all the education and work, and we probably should make it. But I tell you, my children who have asthma, once they're using the inhalers properly, do not go back to the hospital. So you have to educate. Look out for X, look out for Y, right? Sometimes it's going to catch you and you get a thing. You might get a virus that don't really cause any big physical symptoms, but it does affect your airway and it triggers off your asthma. But the bottom line is people have to be aware, and we have to have a space where the challenges are looked at collectively, and that probably has to come from the community.
Right. And this is very interesting, because they also have some activities that you can do on World Asthma Day, and I want to share them because, Doc, you spoke directly to some of it. So on World Asthma Day, various activities are organized around the world to raise awareness about asthma and promote asthma health. These activities may include: 1, educational campaigns and workshops on asthma awareness, management, and self-care. 2, community events such as health fairs, asthma screenings, and awareness walks. 3, social media campaigns using hashtags like World Asthma Day to share information and personal experiences related to asthma. 4, advocacy efforts to influence policymakers and stakeholders to prioritize asthma care and support. And 5, fundraising events to support asthma research, education, and patient assistance programs. And the bottom line, World Asthma Day is a crucial global initiative that aims to improve asthma awareness, care, and support for millions of people affected by this chronic respiratory condition. By raising awareness, reducing stigma, promoting education, advocating for policy change, and encouraging research and innovation, World Asthma Day plays a vital role in addressing the challenges faced by asthma patients worldwide. Let's unite for asthma health and work together to ensure that everyone with asthma can breathe easy and lead a full and active life.
So and I want to make one point, because so today is what, May 7th?
Yes, May 7th, World Asthma Day.
And today's World Asthma Day.
Yeah.
We can't forget it tomorrow. Today's just a day when we yes. kind of heighten our sensitivities towards it. But it must be something, especially for people who have asthma, that must be in their thoughts daily. How do I control and live as close to normal life as possible? Who do I work with? How do I collaborate with? How do I share my information, right? How do I share my information with other people who are afraid to share because of stigma, right? If I'm an employer, do I not take on somebody because they have asthma? Or if there are toxins in the environment, even if this person is my best employee, do I keep them in an environment that's toxic to them, that makes them sick? Okay? Am I doing what is required to ensure that my working environment is safe and healthy for my employees? All of those things, because like I tell you, it's what we call the socio-ecological. You're in the middle, and then you have the family, you have the people you live around, you have your workplace and the bigger community, and of course you have the policymakers on the end, tying up everything and making it. So hopefully we can get this ahead, because asthma, we should not forget about asthma as an entity and as a challenging entity, although we don't see it because people are afraid to tell you they have asthma. And ask me, where's your inhaler? Oh, it's in my bag. But you need it here. You don't need it in your, where's your bag? In my office. Or my bag up in the classroom. No, you keep your inhaler in your pocket on the days when you're not feeling well. Okay? Teachers should know how a child should use inhaler, right? everybody should be educated about this as a challenge, especially to our children. By the time we become an adult, some people don't have. They say they grow it out. The potential for having an attack sometimes decreases as you get older. But it's distressing for a child who can't breathe. He can't concentrate. He's always tired. He doesn't sleep well. He sits in the classroom, and there's so much effort put into breathing that he can't really pay attention to what goes on the board. You know, so that already takes him in. It puts him at the back of the line when it comes to being able to be a productive adult, because his learning is impaired. So,
right.
But before we go, because we're soon gone, the whole issue of climate change and all the new things that are happening, the increased heat and the moisture creating the growth of molds and bacteria, the new bacteria and stuff that are going to come off and can get into our lungs and get into the airway and make us sick. Climate change is real, and we're going to have to do what we can in our little corner. We're going to have to brighten our corner as much as possible. Like I tell you today, I felt sorry for people who have challenges with breathing, because on top of the fact that it was so hot and humid, well, yesterday was more humid, but in these times that we have this abnormal temperature, already the temperatures for April were higher than last year's.
Yes.
So we're in trouble, okay?
And we know, Doc, just to button a bit, 2023 was the hottest year on record. And if we are down that road already, where we have higher temperatures,
and July don't reach it.
Exactly. So, folks, please, very, 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 very important. We need to pay attention. We need to pay attention. So, Doc, well, that's all the time we have this evening. Thank you so very much again. And in closing, I just want to say to all the asthma patients, please be careful. Make every effort to get as much information as you can on your condition, and the fact that we are living in an era of climatic change. It's very important that you are aware, because there's a lot happening out there. A lot of higher temperatures. There's a lot of particulate matter in the atmosphere, together with Sahara dust. You name it. So it's
and other toxins that we've not yet identified.
That's right. So we need to pay attention. We need to take good care, so that you understand it, and you get to know yourself. You get to know how you feel, so you know that you need to act quickly and protect yourself. Doc said earlier, an asthma patient should not have to be in a situation where they have to die. You can deal with it. There is enough medication out there. Do what you're supposed to do. Don't be careless. Don't take anything for granted. Do what you're supposed to do, and you can live a full life and breathe easily. So that's all the time we have. Yes? Mm-hmm.
No, I need 10 seconds. I always need 10 seconds. Another opportunity for healthcare, Eye Vision, Rotary Clubs in Grenada, and Vosh Eye Care. Oh my goodness. I want to tell you where the clinics are. I think there was someone in the rural area today. On Monday today, they were at St. Patrick's. Tomorrow they'll be at Granborough Medical Station. That's in St. Andrew. Wednesday they'll be at St. David's Medical Center. And so, Vosh has been coming here. There's free clinics, and so the services are going to include eye examination, eyeglasses, and like sunglasses and medication at no cost to the public. We want to prioritize the placement in the queue for the elderly, because you have to look at the most vulnerable population. There have been one or two other eye clinics already, but elderly, women who are pregnant, children, and individuals who have chronic health conditions like diabetes and hypertension that can have some effect on the eye, and of course, people with disabilities, okay? They are going to get priority. And like I said, we have tomorrow in Granborough, Wednesday in St. David's, and on Thursday, starting at 8:30. So you have to get there early so you can be screened and we can line up and go smoothly. And it is free, okay? And that's it. The other thing is that it's hot, again, we said at the beginning, please drink a lot of fluids. Please take in some coconut water, some rehydration fluids, whatever it is. And boil the water. Please boil your water. We've had more than a fair share of gastroenteritis, and this gastro kind of prolonged. You may not be having a lot of loose stools and stuff and vomiting, but certainly it is kind of prolonged, and it means that we have less productivity. If a child's sick, you can't go to work. If you're sick, you can't go to work either, right? You really just feel very sick. So remember to boil your water, boil your water. I already know there's a shortage of water in the supermarket. Sort of bottled water. But remember, the people who do bottled water also get it from the same place that Nawasa get it. Might be upstream, but it's from surface water. So with all that Sahara dust, we're in trouble. Yeah. And of course, store water, do not waste. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doc.
Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers.
Yes,
I'm living my first Mother's Day without my mother this year, and I'm actually scared to face Sunday.
Yes, it's a difficult
God bless
one.
all mothers.
It's a difficult one. So thank you again, Doc. Thank you everyone for staying with us this evening. We hope at least there's something that you could take away from this. And of course, we look forward to being with you again next Tuesday evening for another Doctrine Call. Do have a good night. All the best.
Broadcasting from the top of Observatory.